When you don't know and haven't encountered such situations, accordingly, you don't even know how you would act in such a situation.
We live in the countryside, and the water reservoirs are starting to dry up. It's been insanely hot for a whole month already. The temperature is 43 to 44 degrees every day.
This year has been too difficult. Farmers are having a hard time cultivating the land.
Everything here was floating. It's hard to even tell up to what level. Well, somewhere it was up to the top of the washing machine.
An unprecedented phenomenon happened in Latvia. In the second decade of January 2023, the worst flooding in the last 40 years occurred in the southeast of the country. Due to the high water level in the DROUGHT River, a red danger level has been declared in the Jekabpils region. Within a few days, the territories of the regional center were flooded, while houses by the river suffered the most damage. Previously, spring floods were the cause of floods here. And now, these are temperature fluctuations which were not observed in Latvia in winters before. The water level has risen by 9 meters, and this is a limit for the local dam, which barely saves the city from a complete disaster.
Now that fear is not so great anymore, but yes, that first period was really scary when you didn't know anything. And the reality is that people usually panic when something like this is happening, and we should rather exclude those cases when a person really panics and doesn't know what to do. That's the most important thing. And of course, when you don't know and haven't encountered such situations, accordingly, you don't even know how you would act in such a situation. Thank God that nothing terrible happened and this dam withstood.
On January 12, 2023, severe storms and more than 30 tornadoes struck several states in the southeastern USA. Severe weather activity destroyed or damaged more than 50 homes. At least 7 people's lives were taken by the storm and more than 12 were injured. Debris from homes, trees, and power lines caused some roads to be closed. Nearly 140,000 customers in Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and the Carolinas were left without power. Another major storm hit the state of California, USA. On January 16, 2023, a powerful storm system swept through San Diego County. Uninterrupted rainfall combined with gusty winds left dozens of fallen trees and flooded streets in its wake. The storm also caused infrastructure damage and power outages. About 10 people were rescued from a torrent of water rushing down the roads. Droughts and fires. 2022. Europe's heat wave has become the deadliest meteorological event in 2022. From June to August, persistent heat waves killed at least 26,000 people. Over the most of the continent, absolute records of high temperatures were set one after another. In particular, in the UK, the temperature rose above 40 degrees Celsius for the first time in the history of meteorological observations. And in Portugal, the temperature jumped to a critical level of 47 degrees Celsius. At the end of summer of 2022, the drought in Europe, according to some reports, was the worst in the last 500 years. It caused enormous damage to agriculture and exacerbated the energy crisis in many countries. Not only large water arteries, but also reservoirs were depleted. The news was full of reports of the critical shallowing of such rivers as the Rhine, Po, Loire, Seine, Danube, Thames, and many others.
We live in the countryside, and the water reservoirs are starting to dry up. This never happens usually, and it's worrying.
I'm 74 years old, and I've never seen the level to be so low.
This is an unprecedented situation. We had a peak of the historic low in 2003, when the water level reached 5.05, but that lasted very little. Now, however, the situation persists for a long time. There has been no rain for several months.
The dry period was accompanied by severe fires. So, in 2022 in Europe, for the first time since the beginning of satellite measurements, the burned area exceeded 770,000 hectares, which is almost 3 times more than the average for previous years. At a time when Europeans are facing an unprecedented drought in the summer of 2022, Africans continue to experience its catastrophic consequences. The Horn of Africa has experienced below average rainfall for the 5th consecutive year. By October, more than 36 million in Somalia, Kenya, and Ethiopia were at risk of thirst, disease, and food insecurity. People are dying of hunger every day. What happened this summer in Asia? China has experienced the longest and strongest heat wave on record. In many cities of the southwestern and central provinces, absolute heat records were broken. The water level in Yangtze, the longest and deepest river in Eurasia, turned out to be a record low, and dozens of its tributaries dried up.
I can't say it's the first time in 100 years. In any case, this has been the hottest year in 60 to 70 years. It's been insanely hot for a whole month already. The temperature is 43 to 44 degrees every day.
This year has been too difficult. Farmers are having a hard time cultivating the land. We have to live off what the skies send us. I'm 30 years old now, and for as long as I can remember, I have never experienced such a drought like this year.
It was not easy for the citizens of North America too. In August 2022, the US authorities for the first time announced an acute shortage of water in the Colorado River, which provides the needs of at least 40 million people in the southwestern United States. As of August 30th, droughts in the United States cover 64% of the territory, with 15% of them being extreme and exceptional types of droughts. And in October, the Political newspaper reported that unusually dry conditions or total drought were observed in 80% of the continental United States. Now the trend of aggravation of the consequences caused by climate change is more and more clearly visible. In some regions, people suffer from abnormal rainfall. In others, from the effects of extreme drought or other types of natural disasters. Therefore, it is critical to use the interdisciplinary approach of the entire scientific community to study the causes of what is happening with the climate and implement technologies that will help save people's lives and the life of our planet. You can learn more at the International Forum, Global Crisis, Our Survival is in Unity.